What do you want to call this?
Mm,
We could call it Leslie's rant, but
oh, that's a good one. We'll go with that. Leslie's rant and special announcement.
I'm going to do special announcement and rant on changes that you need now. Are we gonna, and we're doing this to the group, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I've lost. Okay, Megan, I think we're live.
Yep, I see it.
Okay. So, welcome. Megan and I are going to do a special, we're going to have a special announcement, but we also have, I have a lot of things to talk about. And even though this is tax season, this is the ideal time to talk about those. And, so just hang in there with me and I will do the announcement towards the mid section. But one thing I want to talk about, and I had Megan come on here with me to what it means to have clarity with the owner of a business. What does it mean from a team perspective as far as that team building, culture? What did it mean to you to feel that alignment?
So to me, having that alignment and that clarity on, like you said, the culture, where we're going, one, having those shared goals, it really helped us feel like a team. It helped us, I feel like before that, it was just like you felt like we're employees. But once you have that shared goal, we're all working towards the same thing, you really feel more like a team.
Mm-hmm.
And also, all that clarity gave less stress whenever it came to your job, because you know that no matter what decision you make or what you're working on, you know the direction that you need to be, that the business is going. So all that stress was gone.
So we have talked a lot about the clockwork system, the clockwork book, and it took us a long time to come up with what they call the QBR, which I also call the Queen Moneymaker role. And it took us a long time to come up with that. How has that impacted your job, knowing what that is? And I will share what that is in a minute. But how you were part of that process of knowing that and developing that. And it took us weeks to come up with it. But how has that impacted how you see things now?
So I think that's going to go right back to the clarity as well, because knowing what that queen bee role is, what our business, because the queen bee role, that is the main task that goes on inside the business, right? It's not a person. And knowing that, you can easily define if something is not aligned. So, whether it's a new client coming on or a service or anything, you can easily identify it, I guess you could say.
So our Queen Bee role is quality business advice. So Megan does marketing and she does technology. So she uses that in her job every single day in her marketing content, in everything that she's planning for marketing, everything she's planning for technology, everything she does with technology is also around that. So it's not just the owner that serves that Queen Bee role. And that goes back to clarity. So everybody on the team gives quality business advice. And if they don't know what the quality is, they will ask the question to not only me, but also the entire team. And Megan, you've made some important decisions when Lynn and I weren't available, right?
Yeah, pretty important, dealing with a lot of money. But like I said, having that clarity on what that queen bee role is, I guess I had to get the team to rally behind me to make sure it was the right decision, but we were able to come to the decision without, having to pull in Leslie and why they're gone. Because like she said, that queen bee role is, yes, it says role, which kind of, it gets confusing, but it's not a person, right? It's a task. So whether Leslie's here or not, because it's still being served.
Mm-hmm. And so, and you also, like I just said, you were in marketing in the tech side, but in Texas, when we had that winter storm, and you were the one that stepped in and did payroll for all clients, because back to people still had to get paid, and along to our brand promise and our QBR, you knew people had to get paid, and you were the only one that had access to utilities to be able to do that. So you quickly stepped in. And once again, I was also out. So it kind of sounds like I'm never
I
here.
promise she does work, even though she just came back from being out.
Yeah. So, but you didn't ask the question, should I do this? You just immediately stepped in. And a lot of our clients, our coaching clients struggle with this in their teams, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
you're also a coach.
yeah. So I think that goes back to, like you said, the clarity. So having that clarity, to me, there was no question about what I had to do. It's going to go back to also to the core values of the company as well, which I know Lynn has talked about before. So knowing all of that, there was no question of what I had to do in that situation.
Mm-hmm. So, and we also went through this during tax season, when we first started doing this framework that we learned, and we also got certified in so we could bring it into our coaching program, which I have been working on for a couple years to bring into our coaching program. And then when they opened up the certification for it, I jumped on it. And so did, and the whole team went through it together as far as the certification part, because we wanted to be able to deliver the foundational framework of this clockwork system to our coaching clients. And also, for the accounting side, we also put it into their accounting systems, where the client usually has no clue who is working on their actual books, because everything is so processized that anybody can do it. And that's part of that foundation. But during tax season, everybody says, I'm too busy to do this. What are your thoughts on that, Megan?
Well, I want to say that that's bullshit for starters,
True.
because right now during tax season, you're in the you're in the heap of it. You have the most stress. You're seeing all the issues that you have. So if you wait until summertime, because that's whenever you have time, you're never going to have time. But waiting till the summer, you're over all of that pain. You've already forgotten all of the stress and all of the hiccups that you had during tax season. So I believe that tax season is the best time for you to work on it. No, it's not the best time to implement a system. I'm not saying that, but it's the best time to start documenting out like the problems you're having, start brainstorming what you want that system to look like in the future so you can work towards it.
Mm-hmm. And we also started developing processes during tax season, and they weren't full blown processes, but they were like starting points to get stuff off of my plate, Lynn's plate, your plate, where we could move things around where they weren't dependent on one person. So tax season gave us that clarity, because then the next tax season was better. Every tax season after that has been better. So I now can take off even more time during tax season because of the fact that we have streamlined it even more so. And we have brand new team members doing taxes because of the processes, because I hear all the time, I need people with higher level knowledge. That's not necessarily the truth. And that's where the processes help, but it gives them a place to go to ask the question. And I actually just have this conversation with one of our coaching clients when one of our managers said, all he does all day is answer questions. Well, that's a high dollar person to be paying during tax season to answer questions and not get any results. So, and the results are getting the tax returns out the door and providing that value for those clients. But if you don't even start addressing this stuff during tax season, your next tax season is going to be exactly the same. So, and that's part of the foundations of the clockwork system, is understanding what processes need to be documented at what time. So like I said, we started this during tax season when we were heavy into tax. And the only way I got out of it is by doing it during tax season with the mentality, I never want to do this task again. And that's part of the clockwork mindset of thinking, how can this business run without me? And Megan, you hear this a lot from our coaching clients. I never want to really be out of my business, but they don't like doing the task that they're doing, right?
Yep.
So then how can you ever move stuff off your desk if you don't get it in somebody else's head. Or a lot of times we see they follow that framework a little bit and they move it from one person's desk to another person's desk. And then that person itself is bottlenecked. And so therefore you haven't solved anything.
Yep.
And we saw the same thing happen in our firm when I did the same thing to Lynn and Danielle. I just like moved it over. But that's where the framework helps you move it past that person too, because then you can filter that stuff out. And then Megan talked about not implementing a system during tax season. And we switched systems 5 or 6 times, I lose count, until we settled on one. And Megan was not real happy with me. But during tax season, what we did is we like looked at what was wrong with our current system. And our current system, what was wrong with it is it was really great for reoccurring work, but it wasn't so great for all the other stuff. And so I started documenting what else we needed and what I wanted it to look like. And so the important lesson here is when you decide that you want something different, it doesn't matter what season of the year it is. That's the ideal time for you. So in that system, we could see reoccurring work, but if a client asked a question or responded back, we couldn't see that. It lived with that person. So we had several things that we had to, as far as systems that we had to solve, but we didn't try to solve all the systems during tax season because you don't have time to implement or even think about it. But we started documenting. So where did we need to improve and where were we going? Back to clarity. So we were all on the same page of we need to do this. So everybody was in that same mindset together as a team. So, and Megan, how have we used systems to get to the next level? Because you're a key part in this.
So I think systems, honestly, this is just going to sound so cliche, but systems have really streamlined our business. They've made it a lot easier because we no longer, I feel like it's taken a lot of the second guessing out of a lot of the work, and then also has increased efficiency because honestly, some of the stuff we do now, the systems we have has cut the work down in half by systematizing it.
And we recently brought on a new employee and we saw spaces where we could improve. Did we get pissed off about it? Or what did we do?
Improved them.
It's always improvement. So back to Megan's point, if you don't start now, when is the time to start? So my answer to that is Megan and I are going to be doing a training, and it's going to be actually several members of our team are going to be doing a 3-day challenge next week. And now is the time to join. And I'm telling you, it's 3 days, 1 to 1.5 hours, depending on questions, a day. So I'm asking you to commit that time. And remember, what you make time for gets done. The more hours you give to something, the longer it takes. So what's the worst thing that can happen here is you give me an hour and a half of each day. And I asked in my community earlier, and she said, I will come to any training that you have because I know you know what you're talking about, even during this time. And she's heavy tax because you speak the truth. And so this is not some bull crap 3-day challenge where I promise the world. I just want to change your thinking. And then if you're ready to go to the next level, I am going to sell you something. But that's if you're ready to go to the next level. So what I'm asking you to do now is to join our challenge next week that starts on Tuesday at 12 Central and goes till Thursday. And it's during Central Time lunchtime. So you can even eat your lunch, but I will ask that you show up and be present. And the VIP is all around pricing. And we still have clients to this day who I thought had pricing down, but we're going to be going deeper into pricing. And this isn't just one of those value talk pricing. It is how the psychology behind pricing, how to meet people where they're at, how to meet people where they want to be. Because let's face it, in order to sell what you want to sell, you have to understand pricing. And tax season is the ideal time to start looking at your pricing and what you're delivering. Because if you're working on quantity versus quality, that's part of your problem. And we will dive deep into that. So Megan, you've done some pricing with our clients. What have you learned as a team member about about pricing?
Oh, too much. I think what I've learned the most is what you just said, the quantity over quality. So many people in the industry, and I feel like this is almost taught to them that the more clients they have, the more money they'll make. And that's not true because if you're pricing too low, you're never going to reach those goals.
So, and we talked about clarity with team. This comes down to pricing too, because the team knows, I said our QBR is quality business advice. We have to invest in ourselves to give that quality business advice. If we didn't price right, we wouldn't be able to do it. And so I was just talking to actually one of our clients this morning before this live, and she was telling me how she priced, and she does 2 hours at this, 2 hours at this, 1 hour at this, 1 hour at this. I'm like, just stop. You're still pricing on time. You're trading time for money. And that's what we will go deep into on the VIP is pricing. And that VIP will be Monday. So I'm asking for a 4.5 hour commitment if you can, but I promise it is worth it going. So the energy that we brought to this live is the same energy that we will bring every day if you bring the energy with you. So this is not one of those turn your camera off and just pretend to listen because you're really not listening. This is one of those, I want you to show up and be present because you get what you put into it. And that is all 4 days. So the price, it's a VIP, you get lifetime access to the recordings. So you can come back to it after tax season to see where to go. But the pricing one is the most important one. And I put that on VIP for intentionally because I see so many questions around pricing that I really wanted to bring my best pricing stuff to the ones that really, really need it the most. And I know Megan has heard Lynn and I talk about pricing so much. We reframe it every time we do it, just trying to make an impact. Because at the end of the day, our common goal as a firm is to bring change to the accounting industry because you're working too hard for peanuts. That's just what I call it. That is what, and I was doing the same thing. So if you're ready to join, Megan, have you dropped the link to register in the bottom? Okay, perfect. So make sure if you want that pricing workshop for $47, our clients pay us a lot of money for that pricing. So make sure that you join VIP for that pricing if you're struggling with pricing, because it is not too late to change your pricing, because pricing existing clients is harder than new ones. So if you want to make sure that you're pricing your new clients at the right price with the right services. So those are such key important concepts of running an accounting firm that I wish I would have known 9 years ago, because it has been a hard lesson, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching it. So make sure you join us next week for this. Megan, do you have any final thoughts on any of this?
So I just wanted to add on the pricing training that it will also be Lynn joining us on that training, which those of you know, Lynn doesn't get on our calls very often. She hates being in our Zoom room, honestly, but she is going to be the one doing that pricing training. So she's the one who handles the pricing in our firm. She is our specialist, our guru, whatever you want to call her, whenever it comes to pricing. So you guys do not want to miss the opportunity to learn this from her.
And I'm going to just leave on the pricing framework with this that cracked Megan up yesterday. And I don't know where I came up with it, but I had a client that submitted a hot seat, and she was asking, how do you stop scope creep when our clients think that we are all access? And my first thought to that was, we are not a Golden Corral buffet of services. You have a very specific service that you're hired for. You stick to that scope. And then if it's out of that scope, you have that conversation. But where I see people fall is they don't have the conversation, myself included, which is why I'm not in charge of our pricing, because I want to help the world. So I get to do these free trainings and get to help the world. But Lynn is the one that really and truly embraces pricing, loves talking about pricing, because that is her passion. Even though she won't admit it, it really is, because she knows what we struggled to get there. So make sure you join us next week live. Be present. I hope this training did not scare you off, but that's how passionate I am about the clockwork system and also about pricing in general and just changing the way the accounting industry works. So I hope to see you next week. Thanks for watching this. And Megan, thank you for joining me at the very last minute. I appreciate your input, and have a fantastic rest of your day.